Welcome to Legal Tender.
Good morning, welcome to Legal Tender, and I'm here with Ragnar Lothbrok this morning, and he's an attorney in Brewster, Alejandro Thomason. But you know what? The haircut that you got looks like Ragnar Lothbrok.
My son, yeah, I actually got the sides of my head shaved.
Yeah.
I had a trial I was going to go to, and it turns out the trial got continued. So it said, hey, it's time for summer. I came home, and my kid goes, Papa, you look like a muffin. Muffin head, muffin head, muffin head. And I was like, good call, son.
That is a good call. I love it when your 3-year-old makes fun of you. Actually, he's 4 now.
I know.
He's 4.
Well, we have a special. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about the gorilla case. You all have heard about the gorilla case.
Oh, man, we are started arguing about this first thing this morning.
Cody and I were shouting at each other this morning in the building by ourselves. We said, done, we're doing the show.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a special guest today. Very special guest. She actually wrote and had it at... Look how nervous she looks here. It's okay. It's all right. But she had an editorial just published last week. She's had many editorials published. She's actually written many different policy pieces. She is here very clearly wanted to disclaim that she is not here representing her little think tank, little thinky think, but she's here by herself, right?
But the most important part of her
is you.
Is that
you are the most important part of her.
Is that she happens to be my smoking hot wife.
That's true.
Who is a stone cold fox.
Amber Gunn.
Amber Gunn
there you go.
Is in the house,
Enters
in the show today, climbed into the shark cage. Welcome to the show.
This is why I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, you guys are pitting me. I'm here between my brother and my husband, and you guys like to throw me under the bus as it is.
Hey, I give you a railroad gold try. Here you go. Listen to this. You are an economic policy fellow, right?
Correct.
With the Freedom Foundation, which is a smart group think tank type thing, and you're also a stay-at-home mom.
You know,
correct.
Your economic beliefs follow the Keynesian model to a T. We know that.
So you're here today as an expert, Amber, for being mothers.
They can't see my eye roll.
So Amber is here as our expert as a mom because those of you who've been under a rock, Cody or Amber, tell us what happened with this whole gorilla deal.
Where was the zoo? Was it in Cincinnati? That was where the
yes.
zoo? Okay, it was in Cincinnati. And apparently they were at the gorilla exhibit. This mom was there with several kids and her son. They were at the gorilla exhibit. He was expressing a desire to go in with the gorillas. She turns her back to attend to one of the other kids. The kid jumps over the railing.
He's
climbs through the wire, past the bushes, and then plummets 10 to 15 feet down into the moat surrounding the gorilla exhibit. Mm-hmm. It was silverback, right?
Yes.
A 600-pound silverback then charges the boy and starts dragging him around the moat and drags him off. Well, they get all the people out of the exhibit, and this response team shows up, shoots the gorilla,
After
saves
like
the boy.
10 minutes.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was like 10 minutes.
Right.
They decided they didn't want to use a dart because they were afraid the gorilla would become agitated and then attack the boy when it got irritated, so they just shot him and killed him and saved the boy.
Amber, have you seen his videos?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at the gorilla, like what was the first thing that you thought if one of your boys fell into that? What would you do?
I would want him dead.
Who, the gorilla?
The gorilla.
Oh, I thought you meant your kid.
No, I would want the gorilla dead immediately. What is the quickest way?
I want my kid dead. He has disobeyed a direct order.
My first thought was, oh my gosh, we're going to have to edit that out.
No.
No kidding.
Come on. No, I just, what is the quickest way to put down this immediate threat to my child? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't wish a gorilla to be dead, but I wish my child to be alive.
Okay.
And if it comes down between an animal and a child, I'm choosing my child every time.
All right, but so describe what does the video show for those of us who haven't seen it? What does it show? Any one of you?
Well, it shows the gorilla being, not attacking the child, clearly.
Mm-hmm. Kind of actually
actually,
petting his arm. Looks
kind
like
of
he's kind of like caring
him.
for him.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. And the only reason the gorilla becomes agitated, he looks up and he hears people screaming. And he's like, what's going on here? And so he's responding to that threat by grabbing the child and begins dragging him through the moat quickly.
Racing through the moat.
Yes.
But yeah.
So, easily could have just
Imagine
snapped
if
his
you
neck.
haven't seen the video, what it looks like is if you handed a 12-year-old kid a little baby rag doll and said run across the room with it, that's what it looked like with the gorilla and the 5-year-old.
Right.
I mean, it was just it was like just nothing.
It's like giving the ball to Lynch. Say, just go save us, son. That's what it looked like. The ball was a little kid, and the gorilla, is it Harambe? Is that how you pronounce that?
I'm not sure.
So it's like a 17-year-old gorilla that's been raised and captured there, and so now
Captured. Listen to you.
Well, I don't know how I don't know how the gorilla got there. The point is, the gorilla is there, right?
He's there.
So you're right. So the armed response unit came, and what did they do?
They put the gorilla down.
Well, the first thing they did is they tried to lure the gorilla out of the exhibit. They have some special call. I don't know when they feed them or what they do, but they initiated the call. All of the female gorillas then left the exhibit. He wouldn't leave. So they attempted that first, and then when that failed, that's when they shot him.
So Twitter is all a tweet with this everything. You know, people are saying stuff like I mean, all kinds of swear words about these parents that they should die. That you know, that how dare they? That this is all the parents' fault. And other people are like Pete are jumping in saying this is the reason why we shouldn't be displaying animals for humans to gawk at. You know, so it's a
we all know PETA has zero credibility. And neither, I mean, come on, we're not going to really listen to anything these people have to say.
Well, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you because for different reasons. But but talking about though about you know what should I mean who's at fault here, right? I mean, everyone's talking about who's at fault. PETA thinks it's the zoo. We have the whole internet thinks it's the parents. And what do you say, Cody?
I say it's absolutely the parents' fault. The parents have an obligation to watch their child. I mean, the zoo's been open for how long? 50, 55 years? No one's ever done this. They have all these standard regulations for zoos, for exhibits and safety and all that stuff. They met all of those and never had a violation around the gorilla exhibit. The kid should have been watched and prevented from jumping into even after he had displayed a desire to do so to his mom.
Oh.
You would have thought that she would have said, oh, this could be a problem. I better pay attention to him. And she turned her back on him and he jumped in. Because my thing is, look, it's not the job of the zoo to babysit your kids and make sure your kids don't do foolish things and put themselves into harm. If you want to do that, anyone who's been to a zoo, you can go to the elephants are really dangerous. You can go to the elephant exhibit and jump over the railing into the elephant exhibit if you want to. If you want to put yourselves in danger, you can absolutely do it.
Well, rather than just jumping to the conclusion that the mother is 100% responsible, I would definitely want to know whether there were any other security breaches at any time in any of the other exhibits at this zoo.
Okay, so let's give our listeners the background who are new to the area. Okay, Cody is what are you? You're an analyst of some kind. What do you do? You're a bean counter.
My question to you
nobody
is,
knows what you do.
Why
Nobody
on
knows
the earth
who
can
you
you
are.
never describe what I do?
I don't understand it. Okay, I see numbers on a screen. I think it's like the Matrix.
You can just tell people. Cody is an investor. He invests people's money in a store. That's very easy for you.
Because that was a pickup line I used before I got married. What do you do? I'm an investor. Investing what? Hearts.
Did that ever work one time?
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Obviously, I'm married. What's up? But you know, and so I'm a lawyer, and so we have our different perspectives here. And so, but we're all parents, right? We got parents of a gaggle of kids. So, Amber, what do you think about it? What Cody's talking about? What about that?
Well, I was really torn about it because obviously we've all seen parents who have failed to pay attention to their kids when they should have. Especially when there's multiple kids involved. They might be tending to one kid and the other kid is... But the truth is that all kids are different. Some kids are much more docile and easy to predict, and other kids are much more rambunctious,
crazy,
spirited, whatever
nice
word
word
you want to use.
It's a nice word for my kids.
Yes, that's what they are, and they are...
Hellions.
Yes, they're more mischievous and harder to predict.
Right.
And even if you are the most vigilant parent, who is looking around at every given second, you know, you could turn your back on them for 2 seconds to grab a diaper out of the diaper bag and your kid is gone.
But the parents are they're going to be charged with some endangerment, right? With child neglect, with child endangerment. And so that's the thing. So Cody and I we were arguing about I was saying, look, from my perspective, as a lawyer perspective, this is clearly foreseeable. You have children going to be dangerous wild animals. It's foreseeable that there's going to be some sort of mischief. So what you would do is make sure that do kids climb? Check the box. Do kids not read signs? Check the box. Do kids want to get into exhibits and play just how they had fun Tarzan movies, fun Tarzan cartoons? Check the box. Therefore, it's foreseeable that there's going to be some sort of attraction. Therefore, the zoo, in my opinion, and hopefully some lawyer gets paid to make all this money, to make this worth everyone's while, is to get paid to make the argument. The zoo is responsible for this whole thing, not the parents.
Here's my thing. Have you ever watched a baseball game from the upper deck of Safeco Field?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How high is when you crawl it? How high is?
I don't know. It's high.
No, it's not. The railing on
The third.
the railing on the upper deck at Safeco Field, you can sit there in the bottom row of seats and you can look over the railing down to the field. That's why you can see so well, right? So it's a very short railing that anyone could just hop right over that and
that's meant
fall.
how high you are
railing,
vertically. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
No,
Yeah.
anyone can just hop right over that at any time.
Okay.
So you're saying that should be higher because that's a potential problem, right?
What about this?
Potentially is,
How about
yeah.
this? How about do people drink alcohol at games?
Absolutely.
Do people walk downstairs at games?
Absolutely.
Is it foreseeable then as people walking downstairs, they hit that small railing? Therefore, what do they do? Yes, it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
So they have right at the entrance or the exit of a stair, they have a higher railing there. Why? Because the foreseeability of harm. And so the point is that, like, look, the zoo, you got some special gold gorilla, right? Then you should be a little more careful. If you have a dog that can jump over a 6-foot high fence, make your fence 12 feet.
Or if you have really spirited kids, pay a little bit more attention.
Okay, that's my point. So that everyone is negligent. So
Right,
Cody's response is, here's an example: the Manson Parade. I was there. I have a 5, a 4, a 2, and a 1-year-old. I was holding the one. No, I think it was whatever it was. I was watching 2 of the kids, and I thought my wife was watching the 2. And she was talking to somebody, and I think it was early around. I was supposed to be watching my son, but you know that happens. Turn around, my son's gone. He's gone. He's 4, and I'm like, what? I immediately begin spinning around in circles, panic. Now, and we've heard stories of me losing my kids before, because again, they're crazy. They're turn around in one direction and they'll run. So I start running up and down the parade route. I'm telling people I didn't shake anybody, but once I get a little more excited, I'll begin shaking random strangers. Help! I'm a kid. Help! So I'm getting strangers, find everything. He ran down the street to the pizza shop to get another lollipop, and he came back. So the point was, it was just a second. And was I negligent? Absolutely. Does that happen all the time? Sure. Should I face child endangerment charge for that? I don't think that any reasonable jury would say yes. I'm not saying what a prosecutor do, because we all know the prosecutors can be completely cuckoo. I used to be one.
When I heard this gorilla story, I could not get Harris out of my head. Because I could picture Harris doing that, because he's so fast. And he wants to be, he's very adventurous. And I'm like, I could see Harris doing that. Just boom, right over the fence and into the moat.
Yeah, and so people are giving death threats to the mom, death threats to the dad.
So dumb.
It is dumb because this is the reason why fundamentally I disagree with the PETA issue, is because they worship animals as though they are on equal basis with animals. Our law is not based upon that. We can't get licenses to kill people unless we go to other countries and we call it whatever you want to call that.
War.
Well, you could call that war, right? You have a license from the government to do that. And you have certain parameters to do so. So we give licenses to kill people in other countries, right? But we can get licenses to kill animals in our county here, right? From the state. Those can be taken away, but it's still a license to take a life, not a human being's life. So I see fundamentally there's no equation or equality or comparison between taking the life of an animal versus taking the life of a human. Just 2 different things. But these people who are all upset and want to kill the people, it's because they see them as the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, Amber and I talked about this. The terror that I had watching that video is if you were the parent, there is absolutely nothing.
Nothing you could do.
Nothing you can do.
You jump in the cage.
You jump in there, you're done.
Aside from you being done, you will excite the gorilla to blood.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's not like you can come in there and be like, whack it, But this is an example about, do you get the state involved in the parent? You have all of these PETA people who are saying, yes, the state should be there. Yes, we should be being charges. Yes. So what they're saying is we want to increase the government level of interference and surveillance in parents' lives, right? The free-range parenting. You know all about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it's basically, it varies state by state. But what are the standards for parents to be able to leave their children unattended? For example, just walking a quarter mile to a park unattended, or even playing outside their home while the mom is inside doing dishes, which I do all the time, by the way.
And boy, have those standards changed since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think back to some of the stuff that we did when I was a kid. Young, I lived in Omak. We would walk clear across town to friends' house and stuff. Parents wouldn't do that today. You would not send your kids that were that young across town by themselves, through stoplights, across streets. No, you wouldn't do it. Because if the cops saw your young kid doing that, you would likely get into trouble.
Yeah.
And there's actually a whole website that tells parents how to respond to CPS complaints. Because if CPS shows up at your door, here's a step-by-step process that you need to go through to protect yourself.
Yes.
And,
yeah,
and they should absolutely
right.
follow that.
Right. Rule number 1. Anytime you talk with any government official ever, you don't talk to them.
Yeah, don't talk
That's
to them.
rule number 1. You're never, I don't know how many times we can say this. You're never going to help your case by talking to the police about your case. Never. That's not the cop's job. The cop's job is not to sort out right and wrong. That's the jury's job. It's not to decide what was legal or not legal. That's the judge's job.
I'm sorry, I don't answer questions.
Right. The cop's job is there to get information. That's their job. They're not there to help you or solve your problem when it comes to an investigation. So you're not going to help your cause.
Yeah, I remember we were down at that cigar place in South Seattle, and your friend
Vertigo.
Yeah, and your friend who was the
homicide detective,
he was really a cool guy. He was talking about this one particular case that happened a long time ago, and he's like, to be honest, he goes, I didn't really care whether the guy did it or not. He goes, I just wanted to place him there at the scene. He goes, and my job is just to hand it over to the prosecutors, and they do their thing. And I was like, oh.
Yes.
That's just their job, to get the guy talking. He got the guy talking, and the guy said something that put him at the scene, arrest him, end of story. His job's done. And he's handed it off to the prosecutors and see whether he's guilty or not.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the scene from when Harrison Ford what was the movie where he was the fugitive, right? He's in The Fugitive there, and he's standing, getting ready to jump off this big.
The dam.
The dam, right.
Yeah.
And he says, I didn't kill my wife. And what does the cop say?
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
That most succinctly summarizes law enforcement. It's not their job to determine who did and who didn't kill whatever. That's not their job. Right? That's not their job. And so therefore, you're not going to help yourself when CPS happens to show up because you let your kids, play 120 feet away from your house like they did in Sacramento, California. There was a mother, and her name is, we know her well. She was arrested for letting her son, her name is Sonia Harrell. She was arrested for letting her 4-year-old son, play 120 feet from her front door in a gated apartment complex. So some busybody neighbors called because he was there for 15 minutes.